Tell us a little bit about the mission trip to Havana, and in your opinion, how does it correlate with Manna University's Educate value?
That's good.
I know it is a good question, ain't it?
Yeah. Well, the value is that we're a people in a place of learning, right? I also, when I hear that, I know this isn't a Man at Church podcast, but I'm also a Man at Church person. And so I immediately think of the operational principle. The church is not just a teaching center, it's a training center.
Amen.
And you kind of see some of that reflected in Educate and Equip, but I'm not getting ahead of myself. In the same way, like this is very much a case where, yes, there's training and yes, there's equipping, but there's also teaching that happens, right? So when you're talking about evangelism, like that's a big part of what we do during these trips. And evangelism is not something that I think everybody is just immediately exposed to.
Yeah, that's good.
Everybody who's calling themselves a Christian, who has been, who has at some point decided to give their life to Jesus, has heard some form of the gospel. But just because you've heard some form of the gospel doesn't mean that you know it well enough to teach it. Doesn't mean you know it well enough to share it with someone. And so part of the preparation is actually going through a very systematic gospel presentation.
Yep.
We went through it multiple times in our meetings. We sent it to people. We're like, here's a YouTube video of somebody who's a master at it, presenting it.
Yep.
The idea is not to manipulate people into saying something that they don't believe. The idea really is, how can I communicate a very complex set of ideas in a simple way? Because like in a sense, the gospel is wide and deep, right? Yeah. Like it's got there's a shallow end of the pool where anyone can enter pretty quickly, but also it gets really deep really fast. I mean, the longest epistle in the New Testament is written about the gospel, and it's like really long, and you can still write like commentaries this thick on Romans. Anyway, so I think in the process of preparing for the trip, there's a lot of education. Yeah. And then you don't want to turn a gospel presentation that's live happening into a class. Yeah. But at the same time,
that's a good point.
Like you don't want to teach it like I'm the teacher, you're the student, you just have to sit back. It should be a discussion. Yeah. But you are still teaching something, right? You may be explaining it to someone who's already heard the gospel before, but in some cases you're explaining to someone who really has never heard I don't know if I want to say the full gospel, right? But sometimes someone's never heard the full gospel before. Not that you're giving them every ounce of knowledge on the gospel that exists, but that you're giving them a cohesive, somewhat full story.